Good morning and welcome to our yoga class. When you are ready, come meet me on the front of the mat and take a big deep breath in, lift those arms up, and then start to side bend over to one side. Just starting with some gentle movements here, being aware of your breath. And when you're ready, switch to the other side. Focusing on your breath and those first morning movements. Roll out those shoulders, close your eyes. Keep rolling out those shoulders and just filling those lungs with air. Clasp your hands behind you. Stretch those arms out, squeeze those shoulder blades, and just start rolling out your neck with some neck circles here. Big inhale in, lengthen those arms, and then fold forward. Halfway lift, bring your hands to your shins, and then back down to a forward fold. Halfway lift again. And fold forward, really stretching out those hamstrings and calves now. Big deep breath as you go to walk your hands forward to the top of your mat. And then we are going to go through a few rounds of cobra, lifting through the chest, strengthening those arms, opening that chest and that heart. Back down, big deep breath in as you go to lift. And into a child's pose for a few deep breaths. Let's go into hands, knees, and start with our cat and cow. We'll go through a few rounds of these. Keep connecting your breath with your movement. Exhale as you round your back. Inhale as you come into cat. And whatever feels right for you here, whether that's swaying back and forth, rocking those hips back and forth. I'm going to start moving through my cat and cow, dipping back onto my heels, and then kind of slithering my way back into cat. And let's start with some thread the needle. So a little gentle twist, and then place your shoulder onto the mat firmly. Lengthen out the other arm. Getting a nice stretch through that chest and shoulder. An option to twist that arm over to the hip crease of your other hip. Place your hand next to your face as we repeat that on the other side. Gentle twist over and firmly place that shoulder down and lengthen out the other arm. Again, option to twist that arm around and place it in the hip crease. It just opens up your shoulder and chest that much more. Place that hand next to your face as you go to lift. And we are going into our first downward facing dog. trying to place those heels onto the mat firmly and place that head away from your hands. Now let's go into three-legged dog and open up those hips. And then we are going to go into pigeon here. Take one breath in as you straighten out that back and that neck. And then come onto your forearms, and we're going to go through some cat and cow here. This won't be a big movement, but just the effort alone is going to be beneficial. So rounding out that spine as much as you can, and then lifting through that chest. Opening up that hip flexor. You should feel a nice stretch right there. Before just folding forward and enjoying that nice deep stretch in pigeon. Go ahead and walk your hands up. Go back into three-legged dog. And one breath into just downward facing dog before moving on to the other side. Three-legged dog on the other side. And open that hip. And back into pigeon. One breath here. Lengthen through that spine. Fold forward onto those forearms. And again, just a small movement of cat and cow here. So rounding out that back. And opening up that chest. Before then just going into your forward fold and enjoying that deep stretch in those legs. Take 3 big deep breaths here, relaxing that mind, relaxing those muscles. Ready, come back up, back into three-legged dog, and a breath into downward facing dog. We're going to move into some Vinyasa, so we'll go into plank, kneel down into cobra, inhale in, and back into downward facing dog. So we'll move through this nice movement here a few times, energizing our body. So again, just breathing through this little Vinyasa, and then meet me in child's pose. And then going into puppy pose. So arms extended and lengthened as far as they can. Armpits down to the mat. Nice stretch in this middle to upper back. And then big deep breath in as we go into a seated position. Take a little sip of water or your coffee here. And then we are going to come into a seated pose, just whatever you're comfortable with. And we're going to be in seated cat-cow. So pressing that chest forward, opening up that chest and that heart, and then rounding out more of the upper back at this point, as opposed to when you're in hands, knees, cat and cow, you'll feel that more in your middle to low back. I'm trying to reach the middle upper part of the back. Now come into a little side bend, stretching out the sides here. Inhale as you lengthen, exhale, come a little deeper. Maybe you can even get onto your forearm here. Breath in as you go to switch sides. Side bend over. Inhale to lengthen, exhale a little deeper. Okay, now coming to the top of my mat here, I'm going to come into a butterfly pose. We're going to begin with some flutters. So place your hands on your toes and we'll flutter and hold, flutter and hold, targeting those inner thighs and your hip flexors. Flutter and hold one last time, and then come into another forward fold here. This can be an intense stretch for some of you, so only go as far of what's comfortable. Alrighty, now I'm going to focus a little bit deeper into my glutes and hips again and place my foot on top of the opposite knee in a seated position. And then when you're ready, again coming into a forward fold, trying to keep both sit bones grounded onto the mat. One is going to want to kind of come up off of the mat, so be aware of both sit bones on the ground. And then come into a little twist. And let's repeat that on the other side. So foot to the opposite knee. Inhale to lengthen that spine, and exhale as we forward fold. And when you're ready, we'll come back into our twist to end that glute and hamstring stretch. Okay, now let's go into downward dog for a breath, and we're going to move through some Vinyasa again. So come into a low lunge, preferably your tighter side first. Push that knee away from you for one breath, and then we will begin in a high lunge. Lengthen here, and then warrior two. Flip that palm for reverse warrior for a breath, and then extended side angle. Back into warrior two, and into a forward fold. Halfway lift, lengthen that spine. And let's repeat that on the other side. So back into low lunge and press that knee away from you. High lunge here. Big inhale in to lengthen. Warrior 2. Flip your palm. Reverse warrior. And again, extended side angle. Warrior 2. And back down into downward facing dog to end our practice here. We'll go into forward fold, halfway lift, forward fold. Option here to take a bind. Press those shoulder blades together. Look to one side and then the other. One more downward facing dog. And then come back up to standing in your mountain pose. Namaste. Thank you for joining me on the mat today. I hope that you enjoyed that. Thank you again. Have a great day.